Sponsored by Curiosity Stream.
Long time ago, Okcupid, a dating site, used to post these blogs where they would analyze the data within their database and spit out a bunch of fascinating information about how relationships work and how dating works and meeting people and first impressions, that kind of thing, and trying to understand mathematically how the human mind works using big data. They eventually ended up going in a different direction because some of these were quite controversial. They deleted a whole bunch of these articles from their blog entirely. Things do not disappear from the internet. I have managed to track down some of the articles that they wrote. It's so interesting. I love this stuff. Whenever I get an opportunity to chuck these factoids at people, I do. I think online dating is freaking brilliant, particularly in this method. It's so much more efficient for finding the kinds of people that would be better long-term matches. But yeah, today we're going to be starting with The Mathematics of Beauty. These are written by Christian Rudder, by the way. He's a brilliant writer. He's really funny. He wrote a book called Dataclysm, using some of the data from these blogs, but also some other stuff as well. So yeah, they've gone a little less controversial as of late, from how race affects the messages you get. And they've now gone more towards the best local dating spots, which is perhaps not quite as interesting to me. This one actually really reassured me, especially considering like the data set, 1.54 million votes, 600,000 messages almost, and over 60,000 profiles they've analysed for this. We do only have their word for it, and it can be used for good PR. Here we go. This post investigates female attractiveness, but without the usual photo analysis stuff. Instead, we look past a woman's picture into the reaction she creates in the reptile mind of the human male. These are the things that they found out from doing data analysis. The more that men as a group disagree about a woman's looks, the more they end up liking her. Guys tend to ignore girls who are merely cute. Their definition of cute would be a 4 on a scale of 1 to 5, rather than differentiating between cute and hot as different types of attractiveness or something. And in fact, having some men think she's ugly actually works in a woman's favour. Fair warning, we're about to objectify women big time. Yeah, this is reducing them down to data points, so that's pretty much as objective as you can be, but it's useful stuff. This is useful for both guys and girls, being able to understand how best to present yourself, so you have a better chance in the dating world. It's useful stuff. Men will get their turn under the microscope soon enough. This article was only done on women, but I would imagine there is some similarity to men. Let's start at the beginning. All people, but especially guys, spend a disproportionate amount of energy searching for, browsing, and messaging our hottest users. As I've noted before, a hot woman receives roughly 4 times the messages an average-looking woman gets, and 25 times as many as an ugly one. They had a star rating system on the site from 1 to 5. They were able to measure how attractive people were as methodically as you can measure that. Getting swamped with messages drives users, especially women, away, so we have to analyze and redirect this tendency, lest Okcupid becomes sausageparty.com. I'm pretty sure that's a website we don't want to go to. It goes to Plenty of Fish. Okcupid must have bought sausageparty.com and redirected it to a competitor's dating site. That's hilarious. Every so often we run diagnostic plots like the one below, showing how many messages a sampling of 5,000 women, sorted by attractiveness, received over the last month. So here's the graph. So messages received last month versus attractiveness. So there's kind of this low curve down here. But then you do get things like this, like these random ones. Why are there some that are up here and some that are down here when they're this attractive and stuff like that? These graphs are adjusted for race, location, age, profile completeness, login activity, and so on. The only meaningful difference between the people plotted is their looks. I don't know if you can say that. They're adjusted for a hell of a lot of things, so that's significantly going to change it. It is perhaps the biggest meaningful difference when you've accounted for all these. After running a bunch of these, we began to ask ourselves, what else accounts for the wide spread of the X's, particularly on the above average half of the graph? Is it just randomness? So yeah, what is it about her that gets more attention than her? So both these girls are statistically as attractive as each other on a 1 to 5 star rating system. By the way, I believe, as I understand it from what I've read in the other articles, they asked everyone's permission for their photos to be used in this. I wonder how I'd feel if some business came to me and said, hey, we want to use you to represent an average looking person. Can we use your photo? Because they've done that. I mean, it makes the articles more interesting and gives you some strong examples, but fair play to the girls for going through with it. Slight aside, do girls find it uncomfortable to be referred to as girls? Because I use it kind of colloquially. I don't know if women is the more respectful term, or whammon, but I don't know. It's never really bothered most of the people I've met. But I think I've seen a couple of people on the internet get annoyed about that kind of thing. What is it about her that gets more attention than her, even though according to our users they're both good looking? So yeah, there's a significant difference here. So this is closer to 100 messages a month versus 25 messages a month. Not all 7s are the same. Turns out that the first step to understanding this phenomenon is to go deeper into the mathematically different ways you can be attractive. For example, using the classic 10-point looks scale, let's say a person is a 7. It could be that everyone who sees her thinks exactly that. She's pretty cute. Again, they're using cute to be less attractive than hot, rather than a different kind of attractiveness. That's how I personally think of it. But something extreme like this could just as easily be going on. If someone is a 7, there could be 10 people saying, this person is a 7. However, there could also be 7 people saying they're a 10, and 3 people saying they're a 0. It could be really polarized, or it could be kind of a consensus. If we all know that she is a 7, there is no way to tell. Maybe for some guys our hypothetical woman is the cat's pajamas, and for the rest she is the cat Garfield. Who knows? As it turns out, this distribution of opinions is very important. Isn't this the standard deviation? Celebrity photos, to titillate and inform. Let's look at what the ratings distribution might be for a couple of famous people. I imagine that for, say, the actress Kristen Bell, it would be roughly like this. Miss Bell is universally considered good looking, but it's not like she's a supermodel or anything. It's a ballsy statement. She'll probably get a few votes in the super hot range, lots around very attractive, and almost none at the unattractive end of the graph. Yeah, this is where we start to objectify women, but yeah, it's for science. Compare her to Megan Fox, who might rate like this. Lots of people on the high. On the far right you have the many dudes who think she's the sexiest thing ever. On the far left you have the small number of people who have seen her movies. Poor Megan. Unlike Miss Bell, Miss Fox produces a strong reaction, even if it's sometimes negative. Now let's look back at the 2 real users from before, this time with their own graphs. So yeah, like I said, Okcupid uses a 1 to 5 star system, so down here we've got the 1 to 5 systems. Okay, attractiveness of 3.4, but the messages are at 0.8 times the site average. Attractiveness of 3.3, but messages are 2.3 times the site average. They used to have a section of the site where you could upload your pictures, rate a bunch of other people's photos, and then get back your attractiveness for your photos that other people had rated on. So you could find out which photos were the best and how attractive you were, like statistically, which is useful stuff to know. Kind of give yourself some confidence or take you down a peg if you're a bit too arrogant about your looks. I don't know. The average attractiveness is pretty similar. But look how different the standard deviation, the deviation at least, of the ratings. So a lot of people find her a 1. There are tons of people who look at her and think she is ugly, and there are tons of people who look at her and think she's insanely hot. But when most people look at her, they think she's attractive, not that she's insanely hot. She's a 4 rather than a 5. I would feel a lot more comfortable that I was not coming across as a misogynistic ass if there were also guys in this, but they only did this on women for this particular article. To put a fine point on it, Ms. Left is, in an absolute sense, considered slightly more attractive. Ms. Right was also given the lowest rating 142% more often, yet Ms. Right gets 3 times as many messages. You can be more ugly to a lot of people, but get more messages. You can be more desired in this particular context, even if more people consider you ugly. So polarization can be a good thing. That's what I'm getting at here. When we began pairing other people of similar looks and profiles but different message outcomes, this pattern presented itself again and again. The less messaged woman was usually considered consistently attractive, whereas the more messaged woman often created variation in opinion. Here are a couple more examples. Okay, so it was male opinion, so this only discusses guys. It might not have included lesbians or bisexual women. I don't know if they had any other gender options on the site at the time, so. What is it about this photo that polarizes opinions so much more than this photo? Those women aren't that dissimilar either, in terms of their looks. Different eye color, but it can't all be down to that. The lighting is one of the big things, I think. We felt like we were onto something, so being math nerds, we put on sweatpants and did some work. Yes, it was standard deviation. Okay, I'm not an idiot. Our first result was to compare the standard deviation of a woman's votes to the messages she gets. We found that the more men disagree about someone's looks, the more they like them. Okay, so here's the deviation versus the messages. This is the multiple, so like how many more messages or fewer messages they get compared to the average person of the same kind of attractiveness. More consensus here. These people are, most people would consider attractive, but then you start getting more polarization as you go here. This is like a scale of emo-ness. Okay, now she could be perceived as emo, but like up here, you start the top tier, you got a little bit of the eyeliner being a bit heavier, and then bam, listen to Avril Lavigne's albums. Full-on emo-ness near the top really polarizes people. But because it polarizes people, it makes this person more attractive and more desirable. As you can see, a woman gets a better response from men as men become less consistent in their opinions of her. So, taking a second here, this really hit me when I read through this. It made me think, rather than trying to appeal to everyone, it's a good thing that I have something about me that I personally like, that really differentiates me, that really makes some people think of me as ugly. In terms of dating, it makes me way more attractive to the people who do like me, statistically. If this is applicable to guys as well, and the analysis of those statistics are accurate. So yeah, this made me feel a lot more comfortable about looking weird to people, because the people that I don't look weird to will find me more attractive. That made me a lot more comfortable about relationships and like my dating life and stuff like that. I think it's funny that for me it took an analysis of 60,000 people, 600 messages, and over 1 million votes to feel a little more comfortable about myself. They actually went into much more detail, creating an algorithm for this. So that's like the specific algorithm for how to calculate how many messages you might get based on your ratings. So see there, like having 1s and having 5s actually increases your chances, whereas these are decreases. So yeah, here's the takeaways for this particular part. The more men who say you're hot, the more messages you get. Men who think you're cute actually subtract from your message count. So if you are holding off on like getting a tattoo or something and your dating life is struggling, perhaps it's worth getting that tattoo since it will polarize people. Some people will hate that tattoo, some people will really like it. That will push you perhaps from a 4 to a 5 for some people. If someone doesn't think you're hot, the next best thing for them to think is that you're ugly. I love that. Feels like a Fall Out Boy lyric or something. What we think is going on. Suppose you're a man who's really into someone. If you suspect other men are uninterested, it means less competition. So if you look at someone and you think they will put off other people, I might have a chance. That might encourage you to get in touch on a dating site. So you have added incentive to send a message. Yeah, you might start thinking, maybe she's lonely. Maybe she's just waiting to find a guy who appreciates her. At least I won't get lost in the crowd. Maybe these small thoughts, plus the fact that you really think she's hot, prod you to action. You send her the perfectly crafted opening message. Sup. On the other hand, a woman with a preponderance of 4 votes, someone conventionally cute but not totally hot, might appear to be more in demand than she actually is. To the typical man, considering her, she's obviously attractive enough to create the impression that other guys are into her, but maybe she's hot enough for him to throw caution and grammar to the wind and send her a message. It's the curse of being cute. Okay, so the overall picture looks something like this. If everyone's interested and I'm interested, I'll take my chances. If everyone's interested and I'm not interested, not my type. If everyone's not interested and I'm interested, she's all mine. If everyone's not interested and I'm not interested, yeah. That's one way to phrase it. So here's what you can do about this. Take whatever you think some guys don't like and play it up. Yeah, this is what I've been trying as well. I bet this works both ways, just people in general, not just guys who are attracted to girls. As you've probably already noticed, women with tattoos and piercings seem to have an intuitive grasp of this principle. So yeah, here are 2 examples. If you have piercings, if you have tattoos, prominent hair colors, unless that's real, in which case that's so cool. Doing something to yourself that makes some people consider you ugly is a good thing in terms of making other people consider you attractive, if that's what you want. We now have a mathematical evidence that minimizing your flaws is the opposite of what you should do. I don't know if I'd jump that far. Maybe there are some flaws which generally universally considered unattractive. Then there's the ethical argument of should you be straightforward with stuff like that. I personally think you should. I suppose in that sense, every photo I ever take should have my teeth really prominent. If you're a little chubby, play it up. If you have a big nose, play it up. If you have a weird snaggletooth, play it up. Statistically, the guys who don't like it can only help you, and the ones who do like it will be all the more excited. That article I thought was absolutely fascinating. It only hit me so hard because the data behind it seemed quite solid. Perhaps people who like women who look more emo or who have tattoos, they might send more messages than guys who are into women who do not have tattoos or do not wear heavy makeup or whatever. So perhaps it's not so much about the mindset of, oh, they are less desirable. Perhaps those types of guys who are into that just are more forward with their messages. I wonder if there were any analyses of this particular blog.
The math behind Okcupid's matching algorithm is surprisingly simple. The first thing we needed to match people up was data. The best way to get data quickly from people is to just ask for it. So we decided that Okcupid should ask users questions. Do you want to have kids one day? How often do you brush your teeth? Do you like scary movies? And big stuff like, do you believe in God?
This is why I think dating sites are brilliant, because it allows you to immediately filter out the people who are not a good long-term match for you if you are looking for a long-term relationship. The do you believe in God example is a pretty big one. There might be some couples out there where one person is an atheist and one person is religious that work just fine, but I know a lot of people who would not want to be in a relationship with someone who did not have the same opinion when it comes to religion, whether they want to have kids and things like this. It's so useful to be able to immediately filter out those people. It stops a lot of that pain that would come from meeting someone, getting along really well, then discovering you have this fundamental difference in opinion that means the relationship can't work. This prevents a lot of freaking heartbreak. That's also why I think Tinder is not quite as good as something like Okcupid when it comes to longer term relationships. Most people on Tinder, perhaps they aren't all looking for long term relationships. Okay, and I'm just trying to look for a little more criticism of the article. Someone else's theory about it. Imagine the following scenario from an average guy's perspective. Le browse matches. We are talking 8 years ago, so old memes. Oh damn, she got it. The email. 3 days later. No response. Look at her profile again. She's logged in since I sent the email. That means one thing. That goddamn bitch rejected me. Change vote to 1 star. Hide match rage quit. How do I know? I do this all the time. What a kind soul. Not trolling. What's up with the less something something? How did that start? Is it used as a signal that you're a Redditor? Yes, that's definitely what it is. Okcupid telling me how being cute is detrimental when I'm often told I'm cute is not what I need. Okay, we get it. You're cute. Let's move on with our lives, please. Stop being a sensitive little bitch and appreciate the science behind their analysis, even if it is at the cost of your fragile bitch self-esteem. Come on, Jake. Might want to calm it down a little bit. I appreciate the sentiment. Perhaps there are nicer ways to express that this is a hard truth. It looks like the women who get the high response rate are the vampish ones. Vampish. How vampish is she? Oh, this one's not vampish at all. I think he's looking for the word emo. I don't know how interesting this will be. I found this stuff fascinating. There's tons more articles, so let me know if this is the kind of thing you'd like me to do more analysis of. It's super fun to talk about, and I'm particularly interested to hear whether you think there are any problems with this kind of analysis. It's very easy to take articles like this as gospel, but it's important to try and be critical with it, as with any science, so we can be more accurate. So yeah, I'm off to get another tattoo. Cheers for watching, and have a nice day. But remember, the most important thing of all, this—
Knock, knock, mate.
What? Oh, Davo, I thought I told you to stop breaking and entering.
Yeah, that's why I came in through the front door.
That's still breaking and entering.
No, it ain't. The door was already fucking open, so it's only entering. Speaking of open doors, Curiosity Stream has thousands of documentary-shaped doors just waiting for you to open.
That's not a good segue.
Look, mate, I've just about had it up to here with your fucking negativity. If you think you can do this better, then you have a fucking go.
Okay, fine. Hi, are you a nerd like me? Cool. Then you should check out Curiosity Stream. For just $2.99 a month, you can check out thousands of documentaries and non-fiction titles on a wide variety of topics.
Available worldwide. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
I enjoyed this one called Cities of the Future. It showed some interesting examples of places people are experimenting with new technologies and ways to improve cities. Some of it didn't even look real. It was pretty cool. There's a whole load of that series on there about how technology might impact different aspects of society in the future. I thought it was super interesting, and it's narrated by Sigourney Weaver. And if you go to my link, curiositystream/boinaband, and use code BOINABAND, you can get your first 31 days completely free.
That's not the URL I arranged.
Yeah, well, I want them to know I get a better conversion rate than you do.
Mate, you won't get fucking half of what I got. Unlike you, I have charisma.
Well, if you're so confident, how about a bet?
I'm listening.
If I get more sign-ups, then you have to stop breaking into my house and knock politely like a normal human.
Nah, bet's off then, mate.
Okay, fine. You have to wear some shoes next time.
Oh, but I like the breeziness in my toes. Fine. But if I win, you have to do my script for the next one of these things.
Deal. Shake on it. Ew.
Fucking pleasure as always, mate. Bye.
Please go to curiositystream.com/boyinaband and use the code BOINABAND. It's literally free for a month, please. It's oopsie time! Hello, fellas and fellettes. Today we're going to be taking a look at the mistakes I made in the last video, talking about Elon Musk's AI company and all the terrifying and impressive things it can do. This is my friend Hannah. That was genuine.
You didn't mean to do that.
This is my friend and sister Hannah.
Hello.
But if you see any mistakes in this video, leave them down in the comments.
And maybe your comment correcting David will be in the next video.
Thank you, Hannah. So one of the first things to point out, Perez and his friends were astonished to see the unicorn herd. So it knows that unicorns are in herds? It knows that unicorns are in herds. Nope, no. Horses are in herds. Unicorns aren't real. Sorry to burst your bubble there. Well, no need to be so mean about it, Michaela London. Someone pointed out that unicorns are in blessing. There are 22,000 freaking results on Google when you search for it, so...
Search for a herd of unicorns.
Okay. Statistically, it looks like I'm edging it out, but both are pretty similar.
I don't really care. My main issue is there weren't unicorns in the story.
People were saying, oh yeah, this AI is stupid. It thinks that unicorns have 4 horns. If a human came across a horse with 4 horns on, they would say, that's a 4-horned unicorn. Whether or not it makes sense, that's what your average person would probably think.
So AI is as intelligent
as an idiot.
Yeah.
I like that a lot of people were discounting the ability of this AI based on this, ignoring the fact that everything else is contextually relevant. This was the nicest one I found. Dave, I love you, and your pronunciation of Jorge is delightful. Calling it Jorge made it a lot easier. Thank you.
Perez would be Perez.
Perez.
I don't
Jorge
know,
Perez.
we didn't do Spanish.
Yeah, we didn't do Spanish. I wasn't taught that. No. Oops, I forgot Danish and Iceland were also Vikings. Proceeds to apologize in Japanese. Perhaps I should learn how to apologize in Danish.
There was one guy who was like part Danish, part Japanese, so he was happy.
Really?
Yeah, did you not see that?
No.
I did. It was really funny.
Sometimes you hear Danes say sorry, which is a loan word from English.
Okay, so I'll apologize in the Danish way. Sorry.
So use undskyld to apologize.
Undskyld. I was talking about how OpenAI was really good at Dota 2 and was beating other humans. Someone here pointed out it's nowhere near being okay in Dota. It can only play a handful of heroes with item limitations. Then that makes it a lot less complicated than I thought it was. But still, even if you restrict...
Even if it's just a couple of characters, that's still pretty impressive. I can only play a couple of characters in League.
Oh yeah, there was one here that made me smile. Wait, just sounds like a bee. I mean, Rachmaninoff composed Flight of the Bumblebee, which 99% of the planet has heard in one way or another. Seems that's what that bit was sampling. I think that must have been where I got it from. However, Rachmaninoff did not compose Flight of the Bumblebee. He arranged it. It was originally composed by Rimsky-Korsakov. Your hair is looking more pink than red.
Oh, really?
Shut up. No, it's not. It's not. See? Maybe Davo can use the sponsor money for some shoes. I'll suggest it. Oh, yeah. Elon Musk is always posting fear-mongering tweets about AI, yet he has a company specifically started to work on creating AI. Hypocrisy, their name is Musk. The company is specifically made to try and develop AI safely so that it can be understood better rather than to develop it without thinking too much about the ethics or safety of it, from what I understand. I thought this was an interesting mistake. I talked about we're potentially heading towards a really horrific dystopia. Hilda Rack here pointed out we've lived in a dystopia pretty much since recorded history, really. And I think that's a fair point. Wikipedia thinks it's a community or society that is undesirable or frightening. If this is the definition, that seems fair. We're currently in a dystopia. That's been the end of Oopsie Time. Thanks for joining me with my friend Hannah. Cheers for watching and have a nice day.